Hey guys, how's it going? So I hope you're having a great weekend or, you know, been having a great weekend. I'm trying to get my lighting right. I just can't get it right. I need to get one of those, those hood things that goes over your light and like focus the light. Yeah, those are pretty cool. So, anyway, I hope you're having a good weekend, like I said. And today we're going to continue our branding training. Basically, we're learning how you build a brand. You start with the look, your target, and then you go towards your recruiting. So, we are going to talk about recruiting through social media. Okay. It's not extremely long, not long like the first one, but you're gonna have some great points here that you can take notes, or if you want, if it's better for you, you can just come back later and watch it on replay. If you do, just say hashtag replay, let me know you did that, okay? So, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop some in the comments and I will answer those for you, okay? So, to start out with, when you look at your social media recruiting and branding, how do you think you do? Do you do anything? Are you one of those people that hopes for things to happen? I tend to fall back into that sometimes, especially if I'm not feeling well or it's been a busy week at my daytime job and I need to get myself out of that mindset because it is not helpful for your business. It's not going to help you grow. It's not going to help you build a team. So first thing is, of course, getting yourself in that frame of mind where okay, today I have to do this for 30 minutes or something like that. Put it in a schedule. So anyway, you need to look at it so when I did this training, Fraser Brooks, he explained it like this. He said that his dad was a network marketer. He's grown up with it. It's all he's ever known. And he kind of gave him an example, and he took him to the beach when they lived in England. And he said, I'm going to blindfold you with this tie that he had on, and I'm going to put an X on a rock. If you find the rock with the X, I'm going to give you $1 million. And he said, I believe him because my dad was really successful at network marketing. So I thought, okay, I'd get rich quick, So his dad said, so how are you going to go about this? What are you going to do? What's your plan? And he said, I told him, well, I'm going to turn all the rocks over until I find an X and stop, And his dad said, well, that's interesting. That's what most people say. But remember, you're blind. You have this thing over your eyes you can't see. So now what are you going to do? He said, well, I'll just turn all the rocks over and then I'll take the blindfold off and look under all the rocks and find the X. He said, that's what network marketing, recruiting, that's what it's all about. Just keep turning over the rocks, keep on pushing forward, and when you find that person that says, yeah, I want to join your team, your company, you don't stop. You still got other rocks you can still turn over and find more people. So the idea behind that is that there are more people out there to gather. So don't just stop. You get one and say, yay, and then you just kind of like fall back on that. He called it hopium. Hoping somebody joins your team because you posted about it or something like that. You have to have action behind what you're doing. This light's bugging me. I'm sorry, you guys. That's a little better. Okay, so I got 5 points to go over you with. And like I said, this is not going to take a long time. And I am recording this. I got to make sure it's running okay. Looks like it. Okay, so number 1, know your minimums. Now, this is an interesting point, an interesting idea, because I never would have thought of this, but it makes total sense. I'm one of those people, I'm like all in. I write, I'm going to contact 20 people today. And then if I don't contact 20 people like I wanted to, I basically fold. I'm so hard on myself. I'm like, you didn't do it. you're just not good at this. I start going back into that bad mindset of blaming myself, and it's like, no, it's just, that's not how it should work. So don't be so hard on yourself. When you create what's called a minimum, it's going to help you. So here's what it is. First of all, what you write down your bare minimum that you can do every day, because he said that's going to determine your days off in the future. For instance, like he says, for every day you do the bare minimum, that's more time you're going to be able to not have to work at a secular job and retire because you're going to reach more people. So he says, so for instance, your bare minimum could be one. I'm going to talk to one person today. It depends on circumstances, on who you are, what you got going on in your life. If you got family, if you still work a full-time job, etc., etc. So he said, put down your bare minimum that you can do every day. Never zero, at least one. I'm going to talk to one person today. That's your bare minimum. And then you're going to write down your standard. This is what you think you should be doing in a perfect day, in a perfect world, okay? And he said that is your maximum people that you can talk to, contact, message a day. So you shoot for that. But if you can't, for instance, say you're sick, you got a family thing going on, you're out of town and things are happening, that's when you do your bare minimum. Or you just wake up, you just don't feel good. That's when you do your bare minimum. But your standard is on those days where you're like on fire, ready to go. You're going to do however many you set as your standard. Okay? It could be, you could have your bare minimum of 1 and your standard be 3. You can do anything. Bare minimum of 3. Your standard is 10. It's just think about your circumstances and write it down. Put it somewhere where you see it every day and know, today, how do I feel? I'm feeling great. Will I got anything going on? No, I don't. Well, I'm doing my standard today. I'm contacting 3 people. So, and then just sit down and do it. Get it done. It's that easy. I love the way he teaches. His way is so much more practical and realistic for the general population, because everybody's got so much going on. Most people I know have some kind of chronic illness, it's nice to think, oh yeah, I'm going to contact 100 people this weekend. But for some of us, that's just not physically possible. Because if we do too much, we'll send ourselves into a flare or not feeling well the next day. We have to, modify our time. And some of the network marketers, I think, don't take that into account. They're like, oh, you can contact 200 people. It's too cookie cutter. That's what I love about Fraser Brooks. He knows everybody's life is different. Things are going on. That's why you set what you can do and you stick to it, because you know what's going on in your life, right? So I love his way. His way is 100% possible to do, no matter who you are or where you come from or what situation you're in. It is 100% possible. That's what I love about him. Now, he said the third thing in this know your minimums part is you have to have periods of blitzes where you just go all out. And he said preferably it should be at the end of the month, because you want to end your month strong, because that pushes your momentum for the next month. And then you can go back to your minimums and standards. So he said take however long you can take, a week or 3-4 days, and just go all out. Call as many as you can, message as many as you can, contact as many as you can, and at least have that every month, and then I'll propel you to the next month. So, which makes a lot of sense. So that you would set your time period. When are you going to blitz? And he said you should do it at least every month. It could just be one day you blitz, but blitz. Contact way more than your standard. It didn't have to be way more, but more than your standard, which is your max. Try to get more than that and do it over and over and over and over again for a period of time. I mean, don't do it to a point where you know you can't finish it. I mean, you got something coming up, that kind of thing. Set the dates on each month. This is when I'm going to blitz. And of course, it might change month to month, which is fine. But you just got to set that stuff and write it down. Write everything down, okay? So his second thing, which I just loved all these points. They were so good. I just love him. He's great. He's got such great energy. Rule of 3. Rule of 3 is about consistency. So this is the rule of 3. And at first when he said it, I was kind of like, but then I got the principle behind it. So, and it kind of is the same principle when it comes to exercise. So here's the rule of 3. How many days you miss, contacting and doing your minimum or your standard, for each day that you miss, you have reverted yourself back 3 days in movement. So that's the reason why so many people don't move forward, or they get stuck because they miss days. For instance, like they go Monday through Friday to do all this stuff. They take Saturday and Sunday off. So Monday through Friday is 5 days. You take Saturday and Sunday off. It's almost like you've never done anything. Because for each day you miss, you go back 3 days. And I say it's like exercise because I don't know if you heard this or know this. When it comes to exercise, for every week you miss of not doing any activity, you set yourself back on your exercise regimen. You set yourself back on your physicality. And they say after 2 weeks, it's like when you started, if you start again and haven't gone for 2 weeks and you start over, it's like you've started over. Your body is back to where it was when you started working out. It loses condition fast. Same thing with contacting people, keeping your standard going as well. Because it takes, I think they say now it's like 66 days or something to make a habit. You got to make this a habit so that you don't revert back too far. He said it's great to have at least 1 day off a week from doing this stuff, but that should be your maximum time off. Otherwise, you're just kicking yourself back to the back of the line. And he said that's the problem with most people in this type of business. That's why they're stuck. That's why they don't progress. They take too much time off. Not that you have to do this all day. Just every morning, get up 30 minutes. I mean, hopefully you set aside time to worship God, every day, do something, read some Bible scripture or something. After that, do this. Be done. You did it for the day, and you can say, hey, I did my job. And by the end of the day, hopefully, a few of those people have contacted you back or messaged you back or whatever, and you can progress from there. So that's the rule of 3. Consistency, staying on top of things. Number 3 is the +1 rule. So he says you need to, hold on one second. Hey, Neo, please stop. It's my cat, he's crazy. The +1 rule is about growing your list. It should grow every day. And he says it helps you posture. Do you know what posture is? Posture is not like walk proud, but it's kind of like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I feel good about it. And you can approach somebody with confidence. That's posture. So he said, first of all, you have to grow your list infinitely. Like, it cannot stop growing. And this is where he talks about hopium. He's like, I hear so many people say, oh, I don't have any more people to talk to, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you got to reach out. You got to make connections on social media, meet friends of your friends, that kind of thing. And write people's names down. Make a list, have a growing list, and always add to it. So he said, for the +1 rule, for every conversation you have or message you send or whatever, you need to add one person to your list. For example, if you contacted 5 people, you add one more, you need to add 6 people to your list. If you didn't contact anybody, you need to add a person to your list. You contact one, you need to add 2 people to your list. Does that make sense? Okay. And I actually, I made lists over and over again, and then I end up like forgetting about them, losing them. So I finally got myself a book with big letters on it, and it's sitting on my desk now, and I am starting to redo my list again. And this time I have it somewhere where it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to move from my desk. I've made that conscious decision now. So, +1 rule, grow your list every day. Number 4 was most people will not see it like you do, and that's okay. So he gave the example of pineapple. He said, some people like pineapple on their pizza, and there's some people that'll look at you like you're crazy. I've tried it, but, I developed an allergy to pineapple, so don't put no pineapple on my pizza anymore. But, it's an acquired thing. And he also brought up, like, Android versus iPhone or Apple. He said people get, upset if you tell them, oh, you need to switch to Android or you need to switch to Apple. And you're like, no, I'm an Apple person. No, I like Android, Some people are. But that doesn't mean you won't be friends because you have different tastes in phones. No. He's like, people just have different interests, different takes on things, and that's okay. Most people won't join your team because most people are afraid of change, are used to the status quo, don't like to take what they perceive as a risk, don't want to have anything to do with network marketing because they listen to the stories told about it, which are mostly untrue. And most people are just scared. So they're not going to join. And it's a numbers game. That's why you have to keep growing your list, have a minimum of people you contact every day, and, just stay on top of it. You have to. It's a numbers game. So number 5, and this is the final one, so I told you this wasn't going to be very long. It's not you, it's the offer. So, well, no, that's not the final. I'm sorry, there's one more. It's not you, it's the offer. So what does that mean? So to us, we're like, oh, paparazzi jewelry is awesome. It's gorgeous and it's cheap and well, we don't say it's cheap because that kind of gives a negative connotation. It's inexpensive. It's got, the kits are not expensive. We know all that stuff because we're in it and we took a chance. But when you come to people and say, hey, join my team, it's $99. We got fabulous jewelry, practically sells itself, easy to sell, go live, blah, blah, blah. I mean, what's in it for people? And it's not paparazzi's, the company's job to build up their offer. They're giving it to us to create our own little business dynasty kind of thing, I guess you could call it. So your offer, it's got to be sound, it's got to be solid, it's got to be full of value, and the price needs to be on point. And all paparazzi is all of those. Now, how do you present it? When you present it, you can say, yeah, paparazzi's awesome. That, it's not, and it's only $99 to join. And the jewelry is got a great price point. But talk about other things. Like, our community is fabulous. It's like a family. We call ourselves the Papa family, and talk about the fact that we have events that you can go to. We recently just had the convention. Janet Jackson was there. All the beautiful smiles and faces and the support that you can get. We have chats, we have team pages. They train us, they mentor us. You can find an answer for everything or be directed where it's at on the website. There are guides, there are trainings all the time. People want to hear that. He said people don't talk enough about the community surrounding their product. That's what people want. 99% of people out there want to be a part of something good. So if you just talk about this is the price, this is what it is, blah, blah, blah. No, they're not going to hop on that. They want to know, what are the people like? Who am I going to be surrounded with? Am I just going to be dangling out in the wind? No, they want to know there's a great community here. We have events, there's support. You can win prizes and trips and go off with your friends and have a great time for free, and guides and trainings and all the things. They want to hear all that. So he said promote the community as part of the offer. It is very important. Okay. Number 6, know what you're selling. Not jewelry, not Mary Kay, all the other. You know what you're selling. What does that mean? You sell certainty. You sell certainty. So people will join people who have conviction, who are certain, who have clarity, and who have posture. That's who people join. People who doubt themselves and they doubt things and they're just not very confident in how they present the offer. That's what people are going to think of them, and that's who they'll attract. So you have to remember that. So he gave an example of 2 types of presentations. This is the person that's not certain. Hey, so I found this great company, Paparazzi, and I think it's going to be good. I think I'm going to try this and see if it's going to work and help me get some extra money and by selling this jewelry. And hey, if you want to give it a try too, maybe try it for a year or something, that would be great. Yeah. Who's going to join that person? Right off the bat, you can tell you're probably not going to get much help from them because they obviously don't know what they're doing. And it doesn't matter if you have been in a company for 12 years or 2 months. You can still have posture. So here's an example he gave of a person who has conviction, who's certain about what they're doing, who's got clarity, and who has posture. This is the example. He said, hey, so-and-so. Hey, Tommy. I'll just say Tommy. I found an absolute game changer that I know is going to do what I want to be doing in the future, which is early retirement. And I would absolutely love it if I could help you change the course of your life as well, because I know that this is going to work. This is the bomb. You want me to send you some information? I would love to. He said, that's the kind of person that is certain about what they're doing, what they have, how they can help people. So, yeah, it was good. It was a great little training. I actually told Robbie Frank this because we had a little call session, which I love. I love getting those calls from them, and we throw ideas off each other and all that stuff to help us grow. But I told him, I prefer Fraser Brooks over Eric Worre. And the reason being, for me, Fraser Brooks, his information is so much more practical for my life. I mean, I honestly do not have the time to contact 200 people in a weekend. I just can't do it. Plus, if I did all that, that would be so stressful for me, and it would probably send me into a flare up. I have to like pace myself on things. I know people are always like, you're so busy, you're always doing stuff. I really am very scheduled. Things are paced. I get naps in, stuff like that. I rest my body, you know. Sometimes I can't avoid it. I'll have a flare up, but that's just the way life is. Can't do anything about that. But for him, he was, hey, Audrey, how are you? But for him, he's more practical because he's like, you could either do this or this according to what your plan is, which I like. He doesn't say, you're going to do this and this. And I love that. So to recap, these are the 6 points that he gave. Know your minimums. What is the minimum amount of people you can contact a day? He said it can be one. That's fine. But that minimum is for those days that you don't feel good, you're sick, you got too much going on. Life is just throwing you all kinds of problems. That one is your minimum a day. He said it can be one, it could be two, it could be three, just according to you, your lifestyle, your situation. Know your minimum. Write that down. That's for those days. And he said, know your standard. Your standard is your max. How many can you do in a day on a good day when you've woken up at a good time, you feel good, you got a plan for the day, you chunk out some time. How many people can you contact in that time? And he doesn't say you have to call them on the phone. He says that's preferred, but yeah, send him a message or text. Voicemail, voice message, which I love to do on Messenger. It's awesome. He said, do that, and that way, those are for the days you feel good. You get up, you do those, and it could be 3 to 100. It just depends on your situation and what you actually, honestly, feel you can do, okay? So know your minimums, know your standards, and then there should be a blitz every month. And he said preferably at the end of the month. And that could be for 2 days, it could be for a week. But he said you have to have a period of blitz, and that's just, you just call as many people or talk to as many people as you can in that period of time, because that pushes your momentum into the next month, keeps you motivated, and gives you people to go back on to start the month. So he said those 3 things are top. Minimum, standards, blitz. There you go. Rule number 3, and we hear this 100,000 times, but I feel like most people just don't get it. Be consistent. You have to be consistent. Period. In everything you do. Because if you're not consistent, if you're wishy-washy, nothing's going to happen. He calls it hopium. I love that. I'm going to start using that. He's like, hopium is not a strategy. He's like, people just sit back and they're like there's drugs going in, like, oh, I hope somebody answers my post. Oh, I hope somebody reaches out to me. Have you reached out to them? He's like, hopium doesn't work. But be consistent. So he said it's like this, for each day that you miss, you push yourself back 3 days. And it's like the concept that I learned long ago when I was an athlete and worked out and all that stuff. For the times you take, like, maximum you're supposed to really take off from exercise is 2 days. That's why they say 3 days a week workout is the best, because the most you'll take off in between workouts is 2 days. And the reason being, if you go too long, your body reverts back to old habits. It's physical habits. So you have to keep it going. And also, I remember it's 2 weeks. If you don't work out for 2 weeks, it's like you're starting over. So his concept, he said, is for every day you don't do anything to recruit, you go back 3 days. So for instance, you do Monday through Friday, you do your bare minimum because you just had a busy week. And then you're like, okay, my week was so busy, I'm taking Saturday and Sunday off, I'm just gonna relax. So for each day, you've lost 3 days, so you go back 6 days. So it's like you didn't do anything last week. And I thought, you know what? That makes a lot of sense, because in my mind, I equated it to exercise, to working out. Everything needs to become a habit. The only way it can become a habit is if you keep it up for at least 2 months, is what they say. It's like 66 days. But even still, that habit can go away too. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? So that was the second thing. The third one was +1 rule: grow your list every day. So like I said, I've had so many lists, and I just so unorganized about it. I just put it anywhere and everywhere. So I finally got myself a book, a big book that's on my desk, and for names, adding names. So he says you have to grow your list every day. And that's whether you talk to someone new on social media, gain a new follower, meet somebody somewhere. Every time you go somewhere, do anything, meet new people, log that name in your head and write it down. That's somebody you can reach out to in the future. Friends of friends, that kind of thing, you know. And I'm not saying stalk them. Of course not. You build a relationship. You got to build a relationship first. So he said for every conversation, message, whatever you have to add one. So for instance, he said if you contact one person, so you have that one person +1, you need to add 2 people to your list. If you contact 5 people +1, you need to add 6 more people to your list. So you're constantly growing your list by 1. And I'm like, okay. So I wrote all this stuff down, so I'm happy about that, because I just love the way he teaches. The fourth thing he said was that, remember that most people won't like what you do, and that's okay. And hey, Crystal, and he compared that to people, iPhone versus, or Apple versus Android. You know, he said, no matter what you do, you can't tell either one of them to switch what kind of phone they have, because they're happy with what they have, and that's okay. And he said most people will not want to do this. That's just a statistical fact. There's nothing against you. It's just most people are either scared of change, scared of doing something different, used to the status quo, need someone to give them permission. He said most people just don't have that gumption to move forward with something on their own. So don't take it personally when somebody's like no, or they ghost you. That's just going to happen, you know. He said the people that ghost you are the people that aren't good at confrontation. They're not people that are good about saying no to others. So instead of actually just saying no out of courteousness, they just ghost you. Yeah. He said that's just because they're weak. So, which is, I find that to be true, actually. And number 5, it's not you, it's the offer. So he said, yeah, you got a great product, but it is not the company's job to present that product to people you want on your team. He said the one thing people always forget to mention is the community around the product. Most people don't care about the price, the commission. They don't care about that. I mean, they want to make money, but what they care about most is the community. You know, how am I going to be treated? How am I going to get through this? And you have to mention that there are events, that they get support, that they get training, that they get mentorship, that, you know, all the things that keep you in the company are what they need to know. So the product itself, the need for money, or you know, to own your own business, whatever it was that brought you into the company, is not what keeps you in the company. What keeps you is that there is a sound, solid value product surrounded by a community that's supportive and helps you along, helps you in your journey. So you have to promote the community. And that's extremely important, he said. And then the last thing was, know what you're selling. Of course, we know we sell jewelry. But he said you have to be certain. People join people who have conviction, who are certain about what they have, who have clarity about what they do, and who have posture. He said that is the most important thing. Oh, thanks, Audrey. He said people will not follow someone that only thinks they know about the product and doubts. So he said you have to have those qualities, and he gave the example of, just saying, hey, I found this great company, and I know it's going to get me where I want to go, which is early retirement, and I would absolutely love it if I can help you achieve your goals as well. Do you mind if I send you some information? He kind of gave that example of a person that was like certain, they're clear about what they're doing, they have conviction, they're going to do it, they know it's going to happen, and posture. They're like, oh, I got to tell you about this because you can't pass this up kind of attitude. So, but yeah, he is great. I love Fraser Brooks. He's awesome. And his programs aren't very expensive either. So he does have a 5-day challenge, social media challenge, and it's like a rolling challenge. It's just taped. So if you go, I think it's FraserBrooks.com/something. Just go FraserBrooks.com. It should pop up, and you can do it at any time. I mean, I think the things only last maybe 24, 48 hours, but it'll pop up in your email and say, hey, here's day 1. And you can watch it and get some social media tips, because he's considered the foremost expert on social media recruiting. And yeah, he's phenomenal. I love him. He's great. So that's it. DM training today. Man, I like wrench my neck sleeping. It hurts right through here. It's like I can't turn my head all the way left. I hate that. I hate it. And anyway, that's it. Thank you for joining me. And yeah, I got work to do. You know that song? Hey, I got work to do. I got things to do. We just had a blitz storm here for like 10 minutes. It was like downpour, torrential downpour, didn't stop, and now it's super humid. So I'm gonna go turn down my air conditioner and get to work. So love you guys, and I will see you tonight. Ooh, ooh, ooh. All right, talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you for joining me here on YouTube. I hope you got some value. Stay tuned. There'll be more coming.